I stopped at the gas station the other day to get a soda, as I am wont to do. I drink a lot of soda, especially now that I'm back on not worrying about how much soda I drink or anything like that. Um, and I was waiting in line with my great big cup. There was a guy in front of me. He had like a big can of beer and something else I couldn't see. And then he asked for a pack of cigarettes and whatever the total came to, like $9 or something. And he handed the cashier $2 in quarters and wanted to put the rest on credit or debit card. Which okay, cool. I've I've been there. I've done that. Um, and I kind of zoned out for a minute, not really paying attention, and then the customer, kind of walked off to the side, started rifling through his wallet, um, motioned to me, said, "You must take him now," and then he left. And I started thinking about that guy, and I was thinking about what he was buying, and kind of he had a kind of mm, a stressed out vibe. Um, as I was looking at him, and obviously I'm not, reading body language is not a forte of mine, and I don't know this guy from Joe or whoever. I don't know, whatever. And I thought, wow, the poor guy, right? I mean, this is probably, this was late afternoon, early evening, and it's probably like the end of his day, and he really just wanted to relax with a little beer and whatever the desires of smoking is. He just that was his thing, right? And life had dealt him such a hand that he couldn't swing that. And I don't remember what day it was. I think it might have been Thursday, so it might have been the day before payday, whatever. And I felt badly for him. And I couldn't get him out of my head for a little bit. And then it occurred to me that I'm so fortunate that I've got a spouse, Nora, who, you know, takes care of me in so many different ways. I talk about how she emotionally takes care of me, and she looks out for me, and she's my my cheering section. She's my advocate, all that. But even beyond that, I mean, we're not wealthy. We're not living on the high hog or insert some other metaphor. But we're we're well enough off that I can get a soda when I want a soda. If I want to stop and get a meal on the way back from dropping my girls off, I can do that. And we're not gonna go out and buy a 75-inch flat screen TV. We're not gonna drive the nicest car in the neighborhood. We have probably the least expensive house in our neighborhood. That kind of thing. So, but yeah, I just felt really fortunate and lucky, I guess, that I'm in that kind of situation. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Not blessings, because I don't believe in blessings, but count your blessings, I guess, when you see them, when you have them. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's Monday, November 18th, 2019, and as of this recording, I'm still depressed, but I'm not dead. Okay, so changing things up yet again with the podcast and how I do things, and I thought I would give this a try to see how this new kind of intro goes. So yeah, hope it was okay. And whatever, I always talk about wanting to put a story in, and maybe if I open, first thing you hear is my story, maybe that'll force me to tell more stories. Yeah, I don't know. But here we are. It's actually Sunday as I'm recording this. I just dropped my girls off at their house and I kind of stopped on the way back. I just kind of wanted to get this podcast out. So, here I am. Here you are. Um, so new friend of the show, Gary, sent me an email after my last podcast, last solo cast, I guess. Um, and well, we've been emailed a couple times back and forth, and the topic of new therapist came up, and he suggested that maybe everybody would like to hear how that went and what that was like for me. And great, I'm all for that. So yeah, I went and had a new therapy appointment with a new therapist, Debbie, and it's a new location I'd never been to, and put in Google Maps and drove, got there, and it's this weird kind of building, and they're in like Suite 367 or something, and it's only a 2-story building, and so I was really confused. So I walked up from the back of the building. I walked to the front of the building. Didn't see any obvious way to get in the building to get up to at least the second floor. Never mind a third floor, which wasn't there. And it bounced in my head that how stupid I must look to an observer, an independent observer, or maybe someone who even knew, as if someone watching me would know what I was trying to do. But in my head, there were people who knew what I was trying to do. Maybe they happened to glance out the window and saw this bonehead walking around the building, or they were driving by in their car, or they just pulled up and parked themselves. And I felt very conscious of it, self-conscious. I don't know, maybe embarrassed. I don't know. And yeah, I mean, that's how my appointment started out, was that I made up this fictitious situation where people knew that I couldn't find my way in the building, and how stupid must I be to not know how to get into a building. Yeah, so luckily, thankfully, I am always early, or at least I try to be early whenever I go somewhere. So I had plenty of time, found the door, went up on the second floor, and walked down the hallway. And sure enough, there's Suite 367 at the end of the hallway on second floor. So I went in and checked in, and first appointment, so insurance card, all that stuff. Have a seat, and Debbie will be with you. And great. So I'm sitting there, and it's whatever time it was. But appointment was on the hour, and so there were like a shift change in patients and clients. So everybody who has an 11 o'clock appointment was showing up, and try not to make eye contact. Right? We're not judging. We don't want to be judged. We don't want to judge. Why is someone else here? And it got to be like 5 minutes to 11, and I'm not terribly a nervous person, but I tend to have sweaty palms a lot. And at like 5 minutes to 11, I realized I had been had my hand closed, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna have to shake Debbie's hand, and I don't want her to experience my wet, clammy hand. So I spent the next 5 minutes with my hand open, patting it on my jeans, patting it on the cushion, upholstered chair, making sure it was dry. And yeah, so that's what I was thinking about before going in. And then finally, Debbie comes out, and hey, how are you? Great. All right, come on in, James. And have to. Oh no, that's not what I go by. No reason you would know that, but I don't. And we started talking, and it was, tell me why you're here. And I explained about my depression, my diagnoses: depression, avoidant personality disorder, and persistent depressive disorder. I think that's what dysthymia is called now. And then what I really want to work on. I want to work on, figuring out why I don't acknowledge, recognize, have feelings, emotions. Um, it's clear that I do. I mean, sweaty palm, worried about people thinking I'm a lunkhead, can't get in the building. Um, but I don't, those the ones that I do have, it's very hard for me to recognize and acknowledge, I guess, unless it's, you know, total sadness, which I've explained on previous shows. Um, and of course, we get into the suicide attempts, and then that leads her into, saying we need to have a kind of a contract that, you're gonna if we're gonna do this, you're gonna stay here and do it, right? You're not gonna go off and try to kill yourself. But if those thoughts start coming back, then I want you to be able to tell me. And yeah, and she circled back to that like 3 or 4 times, and each time I was like, hey, I get it, but it's been whatever since January, February, whenever my medication switch was, that's kind of gone out the door, and I don't pretend to think it won't ever come back, but I don't we don't need to be spending energy on this right now. Um, so then she gets into telling me about her procedure, her method of therapy, and she's really big into DBT, dialectic behavior therapy, and I plan to talk about that more in future episodes. I'm Yeah, I've done this kind of thing before. At least I've tried, um, and I've talked about that on previous shows. If anybody wants to hear the story again, let me know. I'll gladly talk about it some more. But it was difficult before because so much of it really is dependent on recognizing feelings, recognizing emotions, and then trying to challenge or question those emotions. And why do we think something terrible is going to happen? Why this? Why that? And try to reformulate that into what if something good happens, or trying to turn things on their head and kind of work on negative emotions, negative thought processes. And that's been difficult for me in the past because I would get homework, and it's like, describe the time when you were very angry. And I'm like, closest I've been to angry is having to do this homework, really. I don't, I'm not good. I'm sure I get angry. I know I get frustrated. When I drive, I get frustrated at other drivers. But like, I can't recall an instance, right? So if I'm looking back at it, even 5 minutes later, I can't call up that feeling. I can't call up the memory of that feeling, or anything. And Debbie understands that. She says, okay, so we got to work on first, establishing emotions and what they are, and recognizing them, and then kind of get into this. And so my homework, I'm not going to see her again for maybe 2 weeks, just because holidays and first appointments, and we agreed we want to get to once a week appointments. But for now, this next appointment is to whatever it is, 10 days, 12 days from now. And so my homework is to just try to be aware of physical feelings in my body, and then try to understand why that. So I think she's getting at like like butterflies in your stomach, or I don't even know, just that kind of it seems like the gut area has a lot of cause to be talked about when it comes to emotions and things like that. And so I'm going to try. I haven't really been. My girls were up this weekend, so I don't try to get involved with my my inner workings when they're around. I pretty much want to be present for them. So yeah, I'm gonna try. I've got another 12 days to figure this out. I know I'm a clencher. I find myself clenching often, for no particular reason why. And I notice it when I'm driving, when I'm sitting, when I'm laying down to go to sleep at night. Like I'll be laying there for a couple minutes, and if I'm listening to podcast or if I'm not, like after like 3 minutes, I'll realize that like I'm really like tense in my arms and my shoulders, and I can physically relax, and my shoulders can sag, an inch and a half, 2 inches, and then I said, okay, this is better. I'm more relaxed. This is more comfortable for sleeping. And then a few minutes later, I can realize that I'm right back to where I was. And I don't know. If I'm just kind of zoning out, listening to Dan Carlin talk about World War II, I don't know why I would do that. But I guess I did some more exploring now that, tonight when I lay down for bed, we'll see what happens. Yeah, it's interesting, at the very least, to try to figure this stuff out. Yeah, I don't know. So, it was an hour appointment. We ended up talking for like an hour and a half, which was good. But at the same time, I was like starting to feel like, hey, okay, okay, enough. Like, I don't know. I just, an hour and a half in a room alone with one other person really kind of freaks me out a little bit, I guess. And as it turns out, she had an appointment after me, and as I was walking away, she was apologizing to the next client. Sorry, this ran late. So she was aware of it, and I'm grateful that she didn't like do what in essence would be cut it short as we were having a discussion. And it wasn't like, oh, okay, time's up. Well, we're okay. Remember this. We'll pick up where we left off. I think she let it run to a cutoff point on its own naturally. And yeah, so I'm kind of looking forward to it. I've got predetermined ideas on how things should work and things that are okay for a therapist to say and philosophies to have. And I'll be honest, I've got a little bit of a problem when she talks about like our mind and our body being different. And like the body drives the mind sometimes, and sometimes the mind wants to do something and the body says, heck no, I can't do that. I don't know. I'm struggling right now with the whole brain thing. I told my girls, not this weekend, the last weekend that they were up, that I don't want to hear them talk about their brain as a thing, right? As their brain, they are their brain is them, right? I mean, that's what it is. I mean, we are this mushy mass inside our skull, and to talk about it in third person, it just doesn't sit right with me. And I think I'm being short-sighted on this, but I can't figure out how. So let me know what you guys think. Drop me a line. Let me know where does the brain begin and the self end, or I don't know what. It's really metaphysical stuff we're talking about here. But yeah, so, I mean, it irritated me a little bit that she said stuff like that. But that's me. I got to get over myself and just get involved with getting better, feeling better. And nitpicking every little thing probably isn't, it's not like she told me to go out and get some healing crystals, or because some other kind of woo-woo, really garbage kind of stuff. So yeah, so that happened, and that's pretty much how it went. I left feeling pretty good about it. Um, and oh, so the hands thing, right? The sweaty palms, right? So we're in there talking, and like I looked up at the clock, and it was like 10 to noon, and I'm like, oh, okay, so this is gonna end soon. And once again, I was like, oh, I got a sweaty palm, and how I'm gonna have to shake her hand when we leave. And so here I am in the middle of therapy, right, talking about how we're gonna start getting me well, or more well, or weller, or better, or whatever. Um, and I'm thinking about my sweaty palm and having to shake her hand. So there's something to that. There's an emotion behind that. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I just thought that was kind of interesting that we'd be talking about um, how to make things better, and real, personal things, and all the while I'm actually, like waving my hand a little bit to get some air on it so it dries out. um, so yeah, that's me. If you ever meet me, I might have sweaty palms. Sorry. Um, I don't know. I think that's probably about it. I'm thinking about growing a beard for the winter. I think part of it is I'm lazy, and I don't like shaving, and I don't like maintaining. But I understand once a beard gets to a certain length, I'm gonna have to maintain it. I tried this. This was a year ago, 2 years ago, last winter in Minnesota. But I'm thinking about going. Leave it until March. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I had the thought that maybe I'm trying to hide, right? Like disguise myself. From whom, I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna trick Nora into thinking I'm someone else, and I don't really interact socially with many people. And it's not like I live in New York City and walking down the street and I don't want people to flag me down, so I start wearing a ball cap and grow a beard, or I don't know. So we'll see. I think I'm gonna have more guests on. I found a subreddit about podcasts and guests, and you're looking for a guest or want to be a guest. And I put a post up, and I got like comments back from like 5 or 6 people, and it's gone quiet with most of them now. I don't know what, but a couple that I've talked with, and it looks like in the next week here I'm going to be talking with both of them. So we'll see. I mean, maybe it'll go somewhere, maybe it won't. But yeah, I wanna give you all more voices that are on the same, have traveled on or are traveling on the same similar road to where we are, and help normalize this discussion about what's going on with us. So yeah, that's it. Drop me an email, jamolki@gmail.com. Hit me up on Facebook, facebook.com/jamolki, @jamolki on Twitter, www.jamolki.info. That's JAMOALKI. Or text me if you're in the U.S., 248-648-1419. Let me know how you're doing. I'd love to hear from you. If you can do me a huge favor and rate the show, if that's possible. If you get the show on iTunes or Google Play, I think you can rate it there, maybe Stitcher even. Give it 5 stars if you think I deserve it, and help other people find the show. That would be wonderful, fantastic. Yeah, everybody, thanks for listening. I appreciate it so very much. Everybody be safe and be well.